Hello, my name is Sven Froekjaer-Jensen. I'm a Danish painter, and I'm sitting here in my old studio in Denmark. I'm very glad to be part of the exhibition at the venue Fine Art Gallery in Bloomington. And I'm sorry I cannot attend the opening on the 5th of May, but other things keep me tied up in Denmark. I have had other exhibitions in America, also in New York, but it is a very great pleasure for me to show my works in Bloomington. It's a town in America I have visited before, and luckily some of my wife's and my own very good friends live in that town. So I'm very glad to be able to show my works in this fine gallery in Bloomington, Indiana. Thank you very much. The project I show is a project called Landscapes and Memories. And I've tried to make a mix, or maybe you could say I've tried to make a meeting of the memory and the landscape. You know, we all have a lot of memories, and in many ways our memories may be or are quite alike, but I have tried to anchor it, to connect it with a special landscape from the county of Odsherred, which is very famous for its landscapes in Denmark and for its painters. And it is the part of Denmark where I grew up, and therefore it was very easy for me to take some of the landscapes up there, or no, that's wrong, to take the memories from my childhood and from my views up there and connect it with a landscape. So this is a, I hope, happy marriage of landscape and memories. And you can read more about it in the book on the exhibition. And I think I have it here. In this book, and in it I have shown paintings, but also the background for the painting with the text, the memory. And of course you can say yes, but I have not the same memories. No, of course you have not, but I think in many ways that our memories as human beings are quite the same. If you take this painting, for example, which is a memory of a very wonderful night when I walked with a young girl through the fields in Denmark. It was in the summertime and it was very light. And you can say I never did walk with that particularly girl in those days. I think it was in 1962. No, you did not, but I'm sure you have memories of somebody you loved. It might be the memory of somebody you stood with in the street, somebody you met in a supermarket or something else, but the memory is in many ways alike. And therefore I have tried in this project to make a meeting of the landscapes and the memories, and I hope it will let some memories live in your mind too. As a painter, I have been working in two directions. I have been working as a professional painter for the last 10 years, and the first thing I did was, besides all the jewelry exhibitions and the awards and all that stuff, of which I of course am very glad, I started from the beginning to learn the technique, and it was very essential for me to learn you might call it tricks of a trade, but that's not the right expression, to learn the technique of painting, because to acquire the freedom I just wanted to be able to express everything that was essential to me, I had to learn the technique. And in Denmark we have this so-called Copenhagen school that was active about 150 years ago, and they were very keen on and very good at techniques. So I tried to work in many ways like they did. I have also been drawing croquis, as we say, I mean, meaning drawing human bodies for a very, very long time. So 30 years or maybe more. And that's very, very, very important to me, so I can learn just to be free to express what I want. And I think that the other part of my work is in another direction. Because, of course, I want to express what I want, but the expression is about something else. And it might sound a bit strange, but I want to express the very, very deep structures and myths and mysteries and memories of our race. As a human being, we are very young on this planet. We have only been here for about 250,000 years, and that might sound a bit long time, but actually it is a very, very short time. And most of the time we have been living on this planet, we were living in small groups, living by the rules of the small groups, and wandering around in the landscape looking for food. So only for the last 10,000 years, which is so short a time, did we change our environment. And only in the last 20 years we have been so dependent as we are now by electronic devices and the internet. So we have come a very, very long way, but our brain is in many ways still the same. And the structures, the myth, the mysteries, you might say, of the human mind and the way it meets the world around it is so embedded in the old times, I think, and so hung up with what has happened before, that it is a very, very, very good work to try and find out what are the old structures and how are they made. You might ask me, the old structures of what? The old structures of what is essential for the human development, but also for the human being. What is it to be a human? What is our wishes? What are our wants? How are we actually coping with the world around us? And how are we expressing this wonderful, in many ways, wonderful life that we have? And how have we been doing it before? That's the other thing I work with as a painter in my so-called fabulations, and the work with the outer world, the work with the techniques have made it possible for me to be quite free to express whatever I want in my fabulations. And if you look at a painting, at the first glimpse you just see the surface. And in many ways, it's just the same as if you stand with a very, very big, very beautiful ocean and look at the blue line just out in the horizon. What is below the surface of the sea? Are there monsters? Are there treasures? What would you see if you took away all underneath, took away all the water and saw what was beneath the surface? It's just the same with paintings. What is below the surface? How does it affect you? How can you get a deeper knowledge of the world you live in, of the now and the past, by looking at paintings, or especially by working with them? That is the quest, and that is the question I try to answer in my work. And I have been very lucky to the audiences have received my things very well, of what I'm very grateful. And it is a very, very big pleasure. It's not the right word, but it's a very big gift to be able to express something that you feel is important about the world, about yourself, about everything. And of course you can say, yeah, but you can do the same with words, so you can do the same with dancing or with singing or whatever. And that's right. You can, of course, describe so many new worlds with words. with dancing, with singing. But for me, the most essential way of expressing myself is by painting, by making new pictures, by combine different things to create a new world. I don't despise words. I've written books, so I'm used to using words, and words are beautiful in connecting with people. But beside the words, there's something which cannot be said, but which exists. And to find that existence is so essential. You might say in a poetical phrase that it is about what is inside the zero, but that's a mystical way of putting it. So instead, I'll tell you a story which is very close to my heart, which says something about art and why art is so important. Before I tell it, I'll just say I do know that there are thousands of people in the world working with art, and I'm just one of them. And I'm glad I have been given the opportunity to work with it and to be part of it. But I have no illusions about the process of art. Art is so immense. It's such a vast field, and everybody working seriously in that field will just fill a very, very, very tiny part of it. But it's a very great gift to be able and to be allowed to do that, fill that little bit part, just like in music. But the story is a very old story. Maybe it's anyway. It goes like this. Before World War II, in Australia, and if you're not updated on Australia, in Australia there were some Aboriginals, that meaning the original people living in Australia, that migrated from the north to Australia about 60,000 years ago. That was during the Ice Age. And they have some very interesting thoughts about time and about art and about awareness and about holiness, which has been quite interesting for me to know, which I did when I was in Australia several years ago. But in this story, there was a guy called Barton, a school teacher, I think he was, living in Alice Springs in Australia before World War II, as I said. And he persuaded some of the Aboriginals to paint some of their secrets. Now, painting is not strange or unknown to Aboriginals. They paint on the walls of the rocks, and they paint on their bodies. But it was not allowed really to paint the secrets of the tribe on canvases. But in some way, he persuaded some of the old men to paint these canvases, which unfortunately doesn't exist anymore. And they painted, among other things, about the honey ant. You might call it an ant, I don't know, but I call it the honey ant. And the honey ant is a holy animal for the Aboriginals in this area. They have songs, they have dances for it. And these old men, they just painted the song of the honey ant. You could not see it. If you had seen it or I had seen it, we would not recognize it because there was nothing written on it. It was just dots and lines and nothing else. Then one day, one sunny day, some women passed by and saw the paintings. And they looked at them, and then, which is so wonderful, they started to sing the honey ant song, meaning they could see what you could not see and I could not see in the painting, the honey ant song. And for me, this is what art is about, among other things. It makes or creates a bridge between the one who tells the secrets and the one who looks at it. And there are a lot of secrets. There are a lot of fairy tales, marvels embedded in the paintings when they describe this world and the myth of the human mind. Therefore, I really love this story. And I think that connecting between the one who makes the picture and the one who looks at the picture is so important. That is the very, very big role of art now. 10,000 years ago when they painted the caves in France, or 40,000 years maybe, and 10,000 years in the future when they still in some way, if we exist as an art in those days, will be using art for creating a bigger space around us than what just the normal world gives us. This is the gift of art. I am very glad to be here. I'm very glad you can see my works in this project. And if you want to know more about my projects, you can just find them on my homepage, which will come as the last part of this video. And then you can just ask me some questions. If I could have been with you, and I'm sorry I cannot, you could have asked me some questions and I could have answered. So maybe you would have asked me, when will you stop painting? I can see on the video that you're quite old. When will you stop painting? I'll never stop. Never. To paint in this way, to work in this way, is just as exciting. It's just as rewarding as climbing a hill or just going to the edge of town, what is outside. It's so rewarding. You know, when you climb a hill, you just stand looking over the slopes and the lowlands and all that stuff, but you also want to go to the next hill and see what is there. It is exactly the same with this kind of project. You can go on, you can find treasures, pirate's gold if you are very, very lucky, but you have to go on just to see what's on the other side of the hill. And this gift to be allowed to do that and be well received by the audience is a very, very, very big challenge, but also a very, very big opportunity. So, yes, I have to go on painting. I have to go on following the path in front of me, and just like it says in the song, my feet start walking, and I had to follow, and that is how I'm going to work for the rest of my life. So I send you all my best thoughts, my best wishes, and have a nice exhibition. And I want to thank the very fine venue, Fine Arts Gallery, and their very competent and good staff in Indiana, Bloomington. Thank you very much, and have a nice exhibition.